Okay, good morning, guys. Top of the morning, Tuesday morning. I want to talk a little bit about step 3 today, because I really misunderstood step 3 when I was new. I thought it was step 2 and 3 was where we believed in God, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you believe in God or if you don't believe in God, you don't necessarily have to believe in God or higher power yet to do steps 2 and 3. That's going to come later. I'll just recap. Before we talk about 3, you should always talk about the steps before it, and we'll just talk about steps. I read this the other day. I'll read it again. But step 1 and 2 here, it says, the alcoholic at certain times has no effective mental defense against the first drink. Neither he nor any other human being can provide such a defense. Okay, that's step 1. And his defense must come from a higher power. Must. That's step 2, right? So how are we going to find that higher power now? We're back on step 2 here, So over here on page 44, it says, if when you honestly want to, you find you cannot quit entirely, okay, that's the obsession, can't stay stopped, right? Or if when drinking, you have little control over the amount you take, that's the allergy. You have to have 2 of those things in order to be an alcoholic. The allergy of the body, physical allergy of the body, mental obsession of the mind, okay? If when you have little control over the amount you take, you are probably alcoholic. If that be the case, you may be suffering from an illness which only a spiritual experience will conquer, okay? So, lack of power, that's our dilemma. If our problem is powerless, the solution is power, right? So lack of power, that was a dilemma. We had to find a power by which we could live, and it had to be a power greater than ourselves, obviously. It can't be like a doorknob or something like that. It has to be a power greater than ourselves, right? I call it God, right? But where and how are we to find this power? Well, that's exactly what this book is about. Its main object is to enable you to find a power greater than yourself which will solve your problem. That spiritual malady, that mental obsession, right? So that's 1 and 2. Basically, step 1 is just basically go back to insanity and death, and that's step 1, and step 2 is live life on a spiritual basis, right? So in step 3, all we're doing in step 3 is we're making a decision. I used to think we were actually turning our will and our life over to the care of God. I'll read step 3 to you real quick here. Step 3 says, made a decision to turn our will. Okay, that's our thinking. Okay, well, when you write out a will, that's what you want done with your money and your estate when you pass away, right? So that's our thinking. Our will is our thinking, and our lives, that's the accumulation of our actions, right? So we're going to align our will and our lives to God's will, okay, as we understood Him, right? So we're just going to make a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God, okay? So the decision is based on really the first 2 steps. That's how I was taught. It's either insanity or death or life on a spiritual basis. And there's no door number 3. That's your only 2 choices we have. Either insanity or death, step 1, or life on a spiritual basis, step 2. That's if you really know in your heart that that's the only 2 choices that you have, and there's no door number 3, there's no third option. I think everybody's going to pick life on a spiritual basis, So what does it mean? What does it mean, step 3, to make a decision to turn our will and our life over to the care of God? Well, it said number A, here's what we have to be convinced of, okay? A, right, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could ever relieve their alcoholism, right? That's step 1. C, that God could and would if He were sought. Okay, that's step 2. So we're just going to make a decision. We're not. If I make a decision to go down to the store right now, I'm not at the store. I just made a decision to go down to the store. So we're going to make a decision. But like it says on page 64, it says though our decision was a vital and crucial step. Step 3 is a vital and crucial step. It could have little permanent effect unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and to be rid of the things in ourselves which had been blocking us from God, right? From letting God direct our lives, our thinking and our actions. Our liquor was but a symptom, so we had to get down to causes and conditions. You know, they say selfishness and self-centeredness. That's ourselves. Like selfishness and self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles. Driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. So we're going to remove that self. We're going to remove, they call it self-will run riot. The alcoholic is an extreme case of self-will run riot. Okay, so this whole program, we're really not gaining anything. What we're really doing, if you look at the steps, we're removing. We're looking at what we have to remove in steps 4 and 5, and with God's help, we're gonna get busy removing that stuff in 6 and 7, and then we're gonna clean up the past in 8 and 9, and then in steps 10 and 11, we're gonna do the exact same thing again. We're gonna continue to look for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. We're gonna ask God to remove it. Talk to somebody about it. Step 5, right? Ask God to remove it 6 and 7. Make it amends if we have to. So why? So we can resolutely turn our thoughts to somebody who can help. Love and tolerance of others is our code. That's the whole goal here, is to be useful and helpful to the rest of the world, especially alcoholics and addicts who are suffering. So it's just a decision. Okay, it's just a decision. We're not really believing anything yet. We're just making a decision based on insanity or death, life on a spiritual basis, 1 and 2. But it's a vital and crucial step. But how do you actually turn your will and your life over to the care of God? How do you do it? You work the remaining steps. And then in step 11, we're finally doing it. It says we pause when agitated or doubtful. We ask God for the next right thought, which is our will, and action, which is our life. We're actually doing it now. God can't direct a mind and body that's full of resentments and fear and self-pity and shame and guilt. We had to get busy at removing that stuff that's blocking us from having God direct our lives and our thinking, So don't get too hung up on the God thing yet. You're just going to make a decision, and even step 2 is not believing in God. It's just, like I said the other day, step 2 is just, do you believe you can be restored to sanity? And any AA meeting is evident of that. You can see there's people in there that were drank like me, and they're recovering. And they're not even thinking about drinking. So yes, I believe I can be restored to sanity. Okay, guys, I hope that helps. That's a little step 3 stuff. I might revisit it next video. I'm not sure, but I hope you guys have a great day, and love you all. Bye.